Hello, welcome to my first ever movie review of The Odyssey by Christopher Nolan. I watched this movie on the 18th of July, one day after it was released with my friends. It was amazing, I loved it. This review is gonna contain some stuff that I really liked and stuff I didn't like. It's not gonna be in chronological order, but I will give a synopsis, a short synopsis of the story without spoilers. Then I will go to the spoilers section. So this is how it's gonna be. And then I'm gonna talk about the monsters, because there are monsters in this movie. And then the actors and the characters and my thoughts on them. I think, yeah, that's it. That's the structure of the review. Stick around if you want. So, a disclaimer, if you have photosensitivity or you get headache from loud noises, be careful when you watch this movie. There are a lot of flashing lights and loud noises. So, be careful and be prepared if you want to. Okay, let's start the review by giving a spoiler free synopsis of the Odyssey. So, this guy, who is the king of Ithaca, this guy, Odysseus, the guy who this story is named after, the Odyssey, it's named after Odysseus, by the way. This guy, who is the king of Ithaca, he wins the Trojan War using a trick he came up with, which is a wooden horse. They all hide inside this wooden horse, and then they sneak themselves into the city of Troy. Of course, the Trojan soldiers are taking this horse as a trophy of their victory. They do not know that Odysseus and his men are inside this horse. And they sneak into the city of Troy. And they open the gates for Agamemnon and his army to enter, who is also aiding Odysseus in this war. And they enter and they win Troy. They win over Troy. So, what is the Odyssey then? The Odyssey tells the events that happened after this war, because it took Odysseus 10 years in this war, and then it's gonna take him another 10 years, which is now the events of the Odyssey. The Odyssey talks about the 10 years that follow the war, and what happens to Odysseus in his voyage back to home in Ithaca. Now, why does Odysseus want to go so bad? Because he is the king, yeah. He wants to go back to his wife and son, his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, who is now 20 years old. He never met his father. He only knows about him from the songs and the tales that men share, but he never met his father. His father left when he was just an infant, or I don't know. But anyway, Telemachus, waiting for his father, he is surrounded a lot by the suitors who are waiting for Penelope to give up on Odysseus and declare him dead so she can marry one of them. And this guy she's gonna marry will rule Ithaca with her. But she's stalling. She doesn't want to marry any of these suitors because they're rude, they're annoying, and she only loves Odysseus. And she doesn't believe he died. She's been waiting for 20 years. So this is basically the Odyssey. It talks about Odysseus trying to go back home in Ithaca. And in Ithaca, who is waiting for him? Penelope and Telemachus. And the things they go through, all of these characters go through, and the disaster and the misfortune and everything. I'm not gonna spoil the ending. If you never heard about the Odyssey and you wanna watch it for yourself or read it, I'm not gonna spoil what happens. So this is just a simple premise. If you wanna know what happens, you can watch the movie, or you can read about it, or you can watch any of the other adaptation that you have. But I think this one is good if you are just a newbie and you're not used to the Greek mythology and how complicated it is. I think this one is a good beginner's first movie and first introduction to the Greek mythology. So this concludes the spoiler-free section. If you wanna watch this movie or read the story on your own, you can leave the video now if you want, or you can watch if you want to get spoiled and you don't mind. Because I'm gonna talk about a lot of the monsters and things that Odysseus goes through. So you've been warned. What I do like about the start of this movie is that the Trojan horse that Odysseus used to go inside the Troy was submerged in water and in sand. It's like being born from the sea. being born from water, and in the end, it's getting burnt. Does this not remind anyone of the cycle of life of any creatures, like humans specifically, or mammals? Like they are born from water, which is the womb inside the womb, and when they die, some of them get cremated, or like they fade to the dust or to the soil. So I feel like there is a symbology here, but I can't put my hand on it. If you do know what I'm talking about, isn't Poseidon, who is in the Greek mythology a ruler of the sea and the storms, and also the one that created horses? So isn't Odysseus like, I don't know, but this feels like he's using Poseidon and his symbology for his cunning tricks. I don't know. Maybe there's someone who could explain this better than me, but I felt like there is an intention behind putting the horse in the sea. Because if you do know Poseidon, he makes horses from the sea or something like that. I don't know a lot of Greek mythology, but if you know, please do enlighten me. So I feel like this movie, more than just the supernatural beings and anything, it handles the human side and the hubris more than the blaming the other supernatural beings and for their misfortune. What is Odysseus' hubris? It's his pride, maybe, or maybe it's his curiosity, because every time he goes on an adventure on an island and prolong the return home, some of his crew gets into trouble or they die or they encounter creatures, they get stuck and some of them die. So trying to keep his crew safe and thinking he can defy the fate to save them, even though they themselves do not even strive to be saved that way. So this is maybe his hubris, and his guilt is that he couldn't ever save them, even though he's been told time after time, you cannot save people who cannot be saved, who do not want to be saved. And of course, there is not a lot of presence for her in the movie, but she shows up sometimes to scold Odysseus and his naive thinking that the world is not sunshine, you can't do anything, you're just a human. He told them not to eat on that island from the cows and the herds of Helios. And what do? They do it behind his back. He advised them, no, do not go inside that island. We do not know what we are facing. I will try to hunt for you food. Do not invade. Do not do any of these horrible things. But they do not listen. They do not care because they are, as Cersei said, they are greedy, they are ruthless, they are cruel, they are uncaring and empathetic, and they are not wise. And this is Odysseus' hubris, thinking he can save these type of people when he can't, and they will lead him to his doom, and as we said, wasted a lot of his years trying to save them. Of course, there is also the other side, the other plot, concerning Telemachus and his search for his father and his need to ascend the throne, even though his mother opposes this and thinks he is doing it because he out of his ego. But in reality, he is not ready for the throne, as Penelope said, and it was proving he's too weak, too naive to be on the throne. And the suitors are very ruthless. So I can see Penelope not wanting her son to be on the throne for his own safety. He's accusing her of not wanting to lose her queen status. That's why she doesn't want him to ascend the throne, even though we do know that Penelope loves her son and loves her husband and she is waiting for him. She does not even care about her queen status, but he is rage baiting his mother. That was funny. Their interaction at all was funny for me. I like this plot as well. Of course, things changes later in the movie, but we can get to that when we get to it. Now, let's review the monsters like I promised, because we encounter these monsters throughout the journey while Odysseus tries to go back to his home Ithaca. Let's review them, and I will tell you which one I liked and which one, and my thoughts about each one of these monsters, and which one I thought they were kind of weak. Let's go. I'm so excited for this section. The first monster, the Cyclops, I really, really, really liked how terrifying this monster was and how they made him so much human like. Like, he looks so much like a human, not with the one eye. It was so creepy. And the way it screams, oh my god, my ears were ringing. There is something I noticed about this scene when he ate the first soldiers, and I want to show you this. Okay, so the scene when he first ate the soldier, one of the first when we first see him eating the soldiers, the first one, the way he ate that soldier, I wish I had the frame for it, but it was framed exactly like this painting, Saturn Devouring His Son by Francisco Goya. And if you know about this painting, you know about Saturn. Who's Saturn? Saturn, who is Kronos, who is father of time, primordial being who are before the Greeks gods. I don't remember a lot of the mythology, but I do know about Saturn. Why does he devour his son? Because he was afraid of his son dethroning him. That's why it was told to him in a prophecy. It was told to him that his son would dethrone him. Not only be his successor, no, dethrone him. So he's gonna take him down. So in order to prevent that, he eats or devour his son. He does not succeed. He does not, even though he ate them, he does not succeed. But anyway, I thought this framing of the Cyclops eating the soldiers reminded me so much of this painting, and I don't know why they chose to do it this way, but I'm sure there's a meaning behind this. But I really liked the framing. I think there was an artist behind directing this scene. I liked how Odysseus outsmarted the Cyclops. First, he blinded the Cyclops while Cyclops was sleeping, because every day when they were led and trapped in the cave, the Cyclops would never let the people go out. What would he do? He would eat two soldiers, and then he go to sleep. So Odysseus came up with a very smart plan. He noticed that the Cyclops depends on his sight, his one eye, to see. He stabbed the eyes and then hide behind the sheep that were in the cave. The Cyclops does not eat the sheep. He's taking care of them like pets, but he hides with the sheep, so the Cyclops now can't see, so he depends on the smell. And Odysseus, because he's a smart guy, he hides with the sheep so their smell can blend with it, with the sheep. And then when the Cyclops lets the sheep out, they can run away. Of course, then Odysseus shoots the Cyclops after they escape, and the Cyclops starts talking. They did not know that he was able to talk, and one of them said, Euryclus, I think. Euryclus said to him, "Do you talk to ants?" That was very good line. I really like that. I think this is my second favorite monster, because I have one favorite monster, but I'm going in the chronological order. So this is my second favorite depiction of this monster. I really like the framing of this shot. I could not find a good image for these people. They are cannibals, giants. The scene when they first arrived to this island with their boats and Odysseus' ships and all his army, it was very scary to watch them eat them. It was very scary. Was very stress-inducing, and how slow everyone was. Oh my god! But I did like them. It wasn't explained who they are. I had to Google who these giants are. Okay, they are led by their king Antiphates. Lystrogonians are savage tribe of gigantic cannibals. When Odysseus and his fleet arrive at their island, Telepylus, the giants ambush the ship by hurling massive boulders from the cliffs, spearing the drowning sailors like fish and devouring them. These attacks destroy 11 out of his 12 ships, allowing only Odysseus' single vessel to escape. So they were scary, even though they appeared very in a very short time, like few minutes. But they were scary. How would I rank them? Maybe third place. Yeah, maybe I'll give them third place. This scene was very scary and eerie before we saw the giants. I really like the atmosphere in this movie. Now we're talking. This woman, oh my god, she was the scariest. I know she's not a monster, but I put her in the same category as an antagonist and people who are opposing Odysseus. But she was the scariest witch in this whole movie. Even though she seems or she appears innocent, like look at her, she's just an innocent woman. No, 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 do not let her looks fool you. Oh, I love this depiction of Circe. She invites Odysseus' men into her home to feed them in exchange for peace because she was scared they were gonna hurt her or assault her. So they tell her, no, we want peace, we just want food. And she says, okay, you are welcome to be in my home. If you leave, there are weapons outside and your armors. And they do, and they see a lot of armors and weapons outside of her home, and they are not alarmed by that. But they do it anyway because they are hungry. And she serves them soup, a bowl of soup with I don't know what's inside this bowl, maybe meat or noodles, I don't know. But it's very strange looking food. And they start eating and start eating, and they start eating very like animal-like. They are they are under her spell because Circe is not a normal human. She is, I think, a demigod. I'm not sure. I don't remember what she is, but she is a witch now. And she is turning these men into their true form. They are pigs. And in the movie she grabs one of the men, Euryclus, I think. She grabs his hair and pulls it like that, and his hair falls down. And then she uses her arms and hands to push his jaws inside his mouth, and she's shaping their skulls and skin into pigs. She's using her hands to shape them like Play-Doh. Do you know how you shape Play-Doh? She's using that. And humans, real humans, soldiers are looking and they're freaked out, but they can't stop eating because they are bewitched. They are under the spell. This scene was so scary. I loved her depiction. Her act was so scary, and the way she pushed them was so scary, but they made her a sympathetic character, which I really loved. Because in every other adaptation I see of the Odyssey, they always make her as succubus. Like she is trying to lure these men with her beauty and how attractive she is. And if you know Circe, you know her story, it doesn't match her personality. Circe was betrayed by a lot of men, and she was having good faith in them, and they betrayed her a lot, and they were the reason she was cursed on this island and exiled into it. So the idea that, and they also, not only that, but she knows that men come to this island, and in order to protect herself, protect the woman in her tribe, or the woman in her surroundings, she started to do this magic thing. And I really liked how in this movie she focuses on calling out Odysseus and his men, how savage they are, how their true color, that they are pigs, they're monsters. And I really, really like this sympathetic angle they took with her. Of course, Odysseus, when he notices his men are not back, and he tried to hunt this deer, the deer become human. So he knows something is wrong with this island. So he goes to this house and he plays along with Circe as if he is fooled and he doesn't know the pigs around him are his men. But he notices that there is a crow in the house. Circe, she's very protective of this crow. She always keeps an eye on it, feeding the crow. And when she tries to use his dagger to attack him because she noticed he's not eating her food and he's not falling to her tricks, he grabs the crow. He knows the crow means a lot to her. And she immediately tells him, no, please do not hurt her. She's my sister. Free my man and I will let her go. And he asks her why she does that and why did she turn her sister to a crow. And she tells him all the men who come from war, the soldiers, they all want to assault and take and destroy. No, I really like this depiction of Circe. I really love it. Now, oh. Now to my least favorite monster. I couldn't find a picture of it because it only showed up in few seconds. But it is Sela. I was kinda disappointed with the direction they took. It was so fast. Like I wanted it to be more creepy. Sela in other adaptations she appears as a nymph, but she's a creepy nymph. And she sings like the sirens. Of course, they showed the sirens. They didn't show them very clearly, but we know that the sirens sing the songs to attract the sailors. And Sela kinda does the same, but not. She appears like a human first, a very beautiful lady. Closer to her, you will see her other side. So in this whirlpool and in this tunnel, it lies the monster of Sela. Here you can see the Chardas, which is the other side of this monster, and here you can see Sela. and they are connected. So if you go here or you go here, you're facing the same monster. But this one is more dangerous because if you go here, your whole ship sinks in there. And if you go here, you will face Salah, but it will only eat 6 men. After that, it will leave you alone. So which one do you choose? So what does Odysseus do? Although I did not like the monster, I did like Odysseus in this scene. What he does, he tricks his men. He tells them sail into this whirlpool. They question his sanity, like, "Are you serious? We're gonna die." So no, we're not gonna listen to you. So he is like, "Why do you not listen to me? Is this mutiny?" Or he made this intentionally so they can go in this tunnel, and then Scylla can take only 6 of them, and the rest of them can survive. After they survive Scylla, Euryclus confronts Odysseus. "You knew, you deceived us. You told us to go here so we can tell you no, and then we go there by our own choice. And you didn't tell us." Of course, this is one of the way Odysseus show his smart thinking and deceiving side. But he told him, "Should I sacrifice all of you, or should I just sacrifice 6 and everyone else lives?" Of course, these men will never understand because they do not lead. They do not lead army. They are not responsible for a kingdom like Odysseus. But do you sacrifice few handful of your men or all of them? This is also the start of the distrust. Everyone distrusting Odysseus here because they do not trust how much he got them in trouble. Every time they land on an island, there's trouble, even though they want to blame Odysseus, but they themselves bring themselves into this trouble, like with Circe. Like, he told you not to go, and you went there. And now, when we go to the Helios part, he told them not to eat the animals on that island. Not to land on that island, and they did it anyway. So now, after everything, after betraying Odysseus how many times, of course, Odysseus, when he goes out of Circe's home and he gets his man back by convincing her, she tells him, "Go to the Hades, take the people who rise from the ground and talk with people who are in Hades' domain, and they will tell you how you can get out and you reach back home in Ithaca." And he gets warned that his men will die, and he will be the only one going back to Ithaca and survive. And Odysseus does not listen to this, even though his men showed him again and again that they are not trusting of him. They will make foolish choices, but he doesn't learn, and he had to learn the hardest way. They get stranded on that island, and they get told not to eat from the animals because this is Helios animals. Do not eat them. If you eat them, you will get punished and you will die, and no one go back to home. Did they listen to him? Of course not, because they do not trust him anymore. They do not care. So in the end, they faced their doom. I think this scene was very scary because you do not see supernatural things happen here, but you see the storm and how raging, and the sea, how violent it is. And you experience it yourself, like if you were inside this ship and you want it to end fast, but it doesn't end, and it goes on for so long. It was very scary. I like how it was shot. It was amazing. I loved it. And they didn't use anything supernatural in it. It's just typical day at the sea. So yeah, I really like this scene. It was very scary to witness. And now let's talk about the characters and their actors and how I feel about them. So this is Sinan, played by Elliot Page. In my notes, I wrote meh. I felt nothing for the kid. But I will say I feel sorry for him because he got killed in the end, and he didn't know that Odysseus lied to him and that he was alive and the army were alive, and they didn't retreat, and they used him to make the Trojans convinced that they actually that Odysseus and his crew, the Ethicans, lost. So it was sad. I feel sorry for him, but other than that, I didn't feel like there was so much impact that the movie wanted me to feel. Like, they wanted me to feel sorry for this kid and how much his sacrifice made Odysseus feel guilt. I don't know, maybe they should have added something more emotional to make me feel and relate to this character. So show us when he was betrayed. That way we can relate to his sadness and anger, and then the tragedy when he dies, not knowing anything that happened. it would have had more impact on the character. Otherwise, yeah, these are my opinions. Right, Athena, played by Zendaya. I wish there were more scenes with Athena, but I do understand the direction this movie is taking. To not involve a lot of supernatural beings in the decision making of the characters. So no one has any right to blame anyone but themselves, or the human. The humans have no right to blame anyone else but themselves. But I do wish we had more scenes with Athena. And she looked stunning in that red carpet, so she probably attracted a lot of people to watch this movie. Now, Odysseus by Matt Damon. I really liked his performance, especially when he put on the cloak and he was aura farming inside the castle in his home. I think he pretending to be a beggar, but you can tell from his aura that he is the king. And that scene when he strung the bow with the musical notes leading to this moment, that's the most epic scene of the movie. Even my friends who know nothing about this story or even Greek mythology loved this scene so much. They said, I want to replay that scene so many times because how epic it was, the reveal that it is Odysseus. Because he's the only one who does the pull the string before even starting to hunt or battle, because he warns his praise before they, so it can be fair, as he says. And this is something about Odysseus that he feels guilty about, that he always warned his prey or his enemies of his attack, so to make it more fair or even like a challenging. But what he blames himself the most about is the Trojan horse, because that was not, it was all trickery. It was all in hiding and trickery and in secret. He never warned these people that he will one day go inside their city and destroy it completely and hurt a lot of innocent people by his action. So I feel like this action of coming up with the Trojan horse haunted him a lot because of the effect it led to. I really liked Matt Damon performance here. He did amazing. I loved it. I love Tom Holland as Telemachus. He embodied that young, heroic character of Telemachus, but also the naivety of him thinking he can take the throne or defeat the suitors and make them go away, and him looking up to his father and having good faith in him, even though the suitors tried to tarnish his father's name. I love that he still stood his ground and supported his father even when he didn't know that his father came back and he was acting as a beggar. But the values that was instilled in him by his father, and even though he never met him, but the values he knew his father possessed, he also had it in him. So I really liked the interpretation of Telemachus, and I think he looked very cool as a king in the end. Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway. I loved her costumes. Oh my god, look at this dress and the golden necklace. I saw in an interview with her, she asked the custom designers for her first dresses and everything was very muted colors and everything, but they changed it and made it more colorful, more rich in colors. And she was asking why this change. And then she realized later that, oh, because Penelope never grieved Odysseus. She believed he was alive until the very end. So she never wore mourning colors like black or white, or she wore bright colors. In one day, maybe she will see Odysseus, in hopes to see Odysseus one day. I really, really love this interpretation of Penelope. They made her stronger than she appears in other adaptations. Like, she stood her ground. I hated her maid. She is such a snake. But I loved what came to her in the end when she told her, this is where you belong. But is this Mia Goth? She was amazing as well in that role. But oh my god, she pissed me off so much in the beginning. This is my favorite character in the movie. And not because I like him, no, because how funny he made him to be. This is Antinous, played by Robert Pattinson. I like how he depicted him as a coward from his young years until his adulthood. Like, he wants to marry Penelope, but not to become a king, because if he became a king, there are responsibility to go to war, and then he had to duel with a lot of people. No, no, no. He's too lazy, too coward for this. He wants to marry Penelope and bring an heir, and this heir will be the king. Look, this guy is such a coward, and I love how Robert played him. And I like that scene when he hid behind the pillars. Get the sword, get the spears, get the shield, go, go, go. Like, why are you barking orders? Why are you not fighting? And only time when he started fighting when Odysseus was cornered by other men, and then he felt courageous enough to go and fight. And even then he lost, he was killed. But the reason why I liked his character, because it was adding a comedic relief in this intense movie, so I really like this depiction. Hate the character, not the actor. And this is Agamemnon, the poster boy for the movie. And his armor is so cool. I never see armor designs this cool in recent movies or adaptation. I really like the armor and how it made him such a powerful figure and gave him a powerful presence and dark presence. First saw him when he entered the scene. I didn't know who that guy is. Because I do not read a lot of the Greek mythology. I didn't know this was Agamemnon, and he gave such an imposing presence. And this guy was amazing, even though his whole screen time was only 4 minutes, but he commanded a lot of aura, and people on the internet call him aura farmer. So I like the armor design and the way he moves the actor. He gives a lot of commanding energy. But if I remember, why people asking why is he not fighting? He's only standing there and giving aura. But there is a reason to that, because Agamemnon, from what I read, he does not fight. He wins and conquer using his army, but he himself does not fight. This is his character. He's not courageous as people think he is, but he has a very strong and very ruthless army who he uses to win his fights and conquer cities. But I did not understand his plot with Helen and his wife, or I did not understand that plot. I felt a little bit confused. So if you do know what happened in that scene and how he died, do let me know. Overall, I really like this movie. I am so happy I experienced it with my friends. I really liked how much they enjoyed the story. They told me that they really loved how this movie had a story. It wasn't pointless. Every second felt important. No scene was wasted. Even though it was 3 hours, this movie had their attention for 3 hours and no scene was wasted, as they said. I really liked it and I agree with them. I felt like no scene should have been deleted. Everything was important. This whole experiencing this movie with my friends and how much they enjoyed it, and I also enjoyed it, even though I had my critiques a little bit. I will give this experience 10 out of 10. This movie I really liked. I'll give it 9.7 out of 10. Only because I did not like the design of Stella. And I wish that was more creepier, that scene. But everything else I really like. With that, I conclude my review of the Odyssey. What do you think? What parts did you like? What parts did you not like? Are there any characters you found to be your favorites? Who did you not enjoy? And what are your opinions? Please leave them to me in the comments. I really want to discuss this movie more with other people's. And this is my first movie review, so please be kind to me. I know this might not be the most amazing movie review or the most comprehensive, but I'm trying. Please be kind to me. Yeah, I didn't talk about the music. Oh, I really love the music and how it sounded like a music from that time. It felt like they were made using strings a lot, and I really liked it, especially that scene with Odysseus stringing the bow. Oh, the musical notes before he strung the bow. Oh, that was such cinema. I love that scene. I love it. Everyone in the movie loved it. Everyone's so hyped. I really love this movie. I love the music of this movie. The sound design is very loud, by the way. The sound of the monsters screaming and the storms and thunder. So be careful for your ears. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Oh, before you go, what do you think about my scarf? It's the horse, and there's an itch. So it's like Homer. Or maybe for me, my name, because my name starts with an H, by the way. Anyway, thank you for coming here. Bye bye. See you later. Bye.